From the ashes of defeat, a nation will rise to take its place among the greatest empires in the world. And from the heart of that new nation, one man will come to embody both the hopes and struggles of his people and their journey towards liberty. This is the story of America's forgotten founding father. The year is 1763, and the 13 colonies in North America are enjoying an unprecedented era of peace and prosperity. Farmers grow fat crops. Merchants grow richer by the day. Craftsmen build homes for burgeoning families, and all across the colonies, the dream of home ownership becomes a reality. While Britain reaps the rewards of taxing the colonies for their hard-earned success, they also exercise control over trade and demand loyalty from colonial legislatures. In return, they offer protection from the threat posed by France, Spain, and Native Americans who view the colonists as interlopers on their lands. For now, it seems like a fair bargain. But as the years pass, the king's men become increasingly heavy-handed. Colonists grumble and resist. For many, it's a familiar story. But what if I told you that this is only half the story? Because simmering beneath the surface is a revolutionary who will lead a secret rebellion that will change the course of history forever. He was born into wealth, educated at the finest schools in England, and groomed for a life of privilege. But something inside him rebelled against his aristocratic upbringing. He would walk barefoot through the English countryside, sneak into London taverns, drink with sailors, and listen intently to their tales of adventure on the high seas. As he grew older, he continued to explore the world, visiting exotic locales in Africa, India, and the Far East. Everywhere he went, he observed the ways of other cultures and brought those lessons back to Britain. He learned of the Chinese use of accounting ledgers, which he adapted to record-keeping for his family's business. He brought back Indian fabrics, which he used to bolster his family's textile production, and he even helped develop new banking systems based on practices he observed in the Ottoman Empire. His name was John Hancock. Meanwhile, on the other side of the Atlantic, the 13 colonies are experiencing an economic boom, with British protection pushing back the French, Spanish, and Native Americans. Settlers move west, claiming land for themselves and planting crops, raising livestock and establishing communities. Trade flourishes, with merchants shipping goods between the colonies and Britain. Soon, however, it becomes clear that this prosperity will not last. In 1763, King George II issues a proclamation forbidding settlement west of the Appalachian Mountains. But the damage has already been done. Settlers have staked claims and built homes in the region, and they were not about to be deterred by a royal decree. Not long after, Britain announces that to pay for the costly French and Indian War, they will begin taxing the colonies. Colonists protest, but their voices go unheard. Soon, British soldiers are sent to enforce the king's tax laws. The situation rapidly deteriorates, and soon violence erupts. The year before, John Hancock had returned to New England to assume control of his family's business. But instead of immersing himself in shipping textiles and spices, he finds himself swept up in the growing rebellion. He uses his vast fortune to buy weapons and supplies for the Patriots, becoming one of their biggest financial backers. When tensions boil over and the Revolutionary War begins, he puts his money where his mouth is and joins the fight. At the Battle of Lexington and Concord, he serves as a founding member of the Suffolk Resolves Committee, which organizes resistance to British rule. But even as the war rages on, his fortunes dwindle as much of his money is tied up in merchant ships that cannot trade freely. Hancock's solution is to turn to privateering. He commissions his own vessels and equips them with guns, turning them into warships that prey on British shipping. In doing so, he racks up millions of dollars in treasure, plundering riches that help finance the war effort. And through it all, he remains committed to winning independence for the colonies, understanding that only then can true freedom reign. After 6 long years of fighting, it's finally over. At the stroke of midnight on July 4, 1776, the 13 colonies declare themselves the United States of America, a free and independent nation. As the dust settles and the celebrations begin, John Hancock finds himself standing in the center of it all, having played a critical role in securing victory for the Patriots. But the war has taken its toll on him, and he knows that he must now focus on rebuilding his life. And what better way to do that than with a trip around the world? Over the next 4 years, he travels to Europe, Asia, and Africa, where he observes the cultures, economies, and governments of each nation, bringing new ideas and inspiration back to America. Upon his return, however, he discovers that his fellow Americans are struggling to forge a new path forward. The Articles of Confederation, the governing document that has held the colonies together during the war, is failing. Without a strong central government, the nation is descending into chaos. The economy is in sharp decline, trade is disrupted, and foreign nations are taking advantage of the disarray, realizing that the young nation is at a crossroads. Hancock throws himself into creating a new governing system that will unite the states and set them on the path to greatness. As delegates gather in Philadelphia in 1787 to draft a new constitution, Hancock presides over the proceedings. When it comes time to vote on the final draft, however, he is not present. Having just suffered a debilitating stroke, he sends his friend and fellow founding father, George Washington, in his place. Though unable to participate in the Constitutional Convention, Hancock remains a driving force behind the new government. He signs the Constitution on September 17, 1787. Cementing his place as one of the framers of the new nation. But his health continues to deteriorate, and within 2 years he suffers another stroke that leaves him paralyzed. On October 8, 1793, John Hancock passes away. His death brings an end to one of the most remarkable lives in American history. A wealthy aristocrat who could have lived a life of privilege, he chose instead to fight for the rights of the common man. He risked his fortune on the American Revolution, won independence for the colonies, and then helped forge a new nation from the ashes of war. Through it all, he remained committed to the ideals of freedom, equality, and democracy. And it is because of his contributions that we can enjoy the blessings of liberty today. So remember the name John Hancock, the forgotten founding father whose courage, vision, and sacrifice helped create the greatest nation on earth. And if you want to learn more about the incredible stories of other founding fathers, stay tuned for more videos. We'll see you next time.